All right, so we're diving deep today, folks, into something that hits close to home for pretty much everyone, love and mental health.
Yeah, two biggies, right?
Absolutely, and we've got this excerpt here that really makes you think about how connected they actually are. I mean, on the surface, these seem kind of
Yes,
separate,
but yeah, totally. But when
Yeah.
you really dig in,
Exactly. So that's what we're going to do today, kind of unpack how love, relationships, all that jazz impacts our mental well-being, and the other way around too, how our mental state affects our relationships.
it's a two-way street.
Exactly. And our source jumps right in, says that a supportive, loving relationship can improve mental health while toxic relationships can harm it.
Mm.
I mean, that makes sense, right?
Mm.
But I'm curious, what does a truly supportive relationship actually look like in practice?
Yeah.
What are those behaviors that, actively benefit our minds?
Oh, well, it all boils down to feeling safe and respected, Like truly knowing your partner's got your back, they listen without judging, even when you disagree.
So it's not just about agreeing all the time.
No, not at all. It's about empathy, even when you have different perspectives. And it's also the little things, like that hug when you're feeling down or remembering your favorite takeout after a long day.
Yeah, it's those little things that add up. They show you're valued.
Exactly. And that sense of security, of being valued,
Yeah.
huge for mental well-being.
Totally. But then there's the flip side. The source mentions toxic relationships. And, well, those can be trickier to spot, right? I mean, how do you even recognize the signs, especially when they could be kind of subtle?
Right, it's not always screamingly obvious, but if communication starts breaking down, that's a red flag.
So not just disagreements, but
Yeah, more like instead of resolving conflict constructively, it's just constant bickering, defensiveness, even personal attacks, that kind of stuff.
oh, yikes. That sounds rough.
Yeah, it can be. And it's also super important to pay attention to your own feelings in the relationship.
So how the relationship makes you feel.
Exactly. Do you feel anxious, on edge around your partner, like walking on eggshells all the time to avoid upsetting them?
Ooh, that's a good point. I never thought of it that way.
It's not just outward behavior, it's the internal impact, too.
Right. Makes sense. And if it's constantly negative, well, that's definitely going to affect your mental health.
Absolutely.
So the source gets even deeper and lays out 3 key links between love and mental health. This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, let's break it down.
All right, so number 1, emotional support. And the source puts it like this: feeling valued improves mental stability. Now, what's the science behind that?
Okay, so when someone you love genuinely values you, it does wonders for your self-worth. It's like you have this solid support system which helps buffer against stress.
So it's like having a safety net.
Exactly. You're not facing things alone. And that sense of belonging, of being truly seen and accepted, that's a basic human need. It does so much for your mental well-being.
Imagine coming home after a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day,
Oh, yeah.
and your partner just listens. They don't try to fix it, just offer a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on.
Powerful stuff, right? That validation, that understanding can really shift your whole mental state.
Makes total sense. Okay, link number 2 is open communication. The source claims it reduces stress, which, again, seems logical. But, how does talking about our feelings actually achieve that?
Okay, this is where it gets cool. Think of it like this. Bottling up emotions, it creates this internal pressure, like a pressure cooker about to blow.
Oh, not good.
Not good at all. Expressing those emotions, the good, the bad, the ugly, it allows us to process them, let them go.
So it's not just venting. It's actually...
It's about sharing your inner world with someone who cares. And get this, it's not just psychological, it's physiological too. Studies show expressing emotions can actually lower your blood pressure and cortisol, the stress hormone.
Wow, so it's like a physical release too.
Exactly. Talking it out really does help.
Amazing. All right, last link, number 3, boundaries. The source says maintaining personal space prevents burnout. So can you unpack that a bit? What does that actually look like in a relationship?
Absolutely. Now, the key here is healthy boundaries, not building walls to shut people out.
Right, there's a difference.
Big time.
Yeah.
We all have a limited amount of emotional energy, right? And in relationships, we're constantly giving and receiving that energy.
It's like an exchange.
Exactly. Healthy boundaries help protect your own energy reserves so you don't get totally depleted and burn out. Think of it like recharging your phone.
Oh, I like that analogy.
You need to plug in to recharge, right?
Mhm.
Boundaries are like plugging into self-care. It's about recognizing it's okay to say no sometimes. to prioritize your own time, even when your partner wants to be together.
So it's about balance between connection and individual needs.
You got it. Like maybe you need time for a hobby or even just some quiet time alone.
Yeah, even if your partner's feeling super cuddly.
Exactly. It's about respecting your own needs and communicating them clearly to your partner.
So important. Now, the source wraps up by highlighting the importance of building emotionally safe connections. And it seems like everything we've talked about feeds into that idea.
100%. Emotional support, open communication, healthy boundaries, they're the foundation of feeling safe in a relationship. And building that takes effort, for sure, from both sides.
Yeah, it's a team effort.
But the payoff, the benefits for your mental health and the relationship as a whole are huge.
So big takeaway, love and mental health, they're totally intertwined.
Oh, yeah.
Taking care of one impacts the other in a positive way. But here's a question for our listeners to chew on, something to really think about. The source focuses on romantic relationships, but how do these same principles apply to other relationships in our lives?
Interesting.
Like our relationships with friends, with family, even with ourselves.
Yeah.
How can we cultivate that same level of emotional support, communication, and healthy boundaries in all areas of our lives?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Something to really ponder for sure. Because those principles, they can benefit any relationship, even the one you have with yourself.
Exactly. So much to think about. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into love and mental health. We'll catch you next time.